The kingdom of Arendor was dying. Once fertile fields now lay cracked and barren, their crops withered to dust beneath a merciless sun. Rivers that had once carried life through villages shrank into thin, muddy trickles. Hunger gnawed at the people, and despair hung heavy in the air like smoke after a fire. The streets echoed not with laughter, but with the hollow cries of children too weak to play. In the midst of this decay lived Arin, a young scribe. His world had always been parchment and ink, not swords or fields. Timid and bookish, Arin spent his days copying ancient texts in the royal archives, his hands stained with ink rather than calluses. He was no warrior, no hero, merely a keeper of words in a kingdom that had forgotten hope. But fate has a way of finding the unlikely. One evening, as the sun bled red across the horizon, Arin was summoned to the king's hall. The chamber smelled of dust and desperation, its walls lined with fading banners that once spoke of glory. The king, frail and weary, leaned forward on his throne, his voice trembling yet resolute. "Arin," he said, "the scrolls you study speak of an ancient prophecy. They tell of a feather, the last feather of the phoenix, hidden beyond cursed lands. Only it can restore life to Arendor. Only it can save us." Arin's heart pounded. He had read the prophecy many times, tucked away in forgotten manuscripts, never imagining it could be real. And now the king's eyes fix upon him with a desperate plea. "You are chosen," the king declared, "not for your strength, but for your knowledge. You alone understand the words that guide the path. You must find the feather." The hall fell silent. Arin, the timid scribe, stood at the edge of destiny. His ink-stained hands trembled as he realized. The fate of the kingdom rested not on a warrior's blade, but on the courage of a scholar who had never left the safety of his books. Arin left the castle gates before dawn, the sky still bruised with fading stars. He carried no sword, no shield, only a satchel filled with scrolls, ink vials, and a worn leather-bound journal. His cloak was thin, his boots too soft for travel, but his resolve was firm. The prophecy had chosen him, and the kingdom's hope now rested on the shoulders of a scholar. His path led him to the edge of the cursed forest, a place whispered about in taverns and feared in bedtime tales. The trees stood unnaturally tall, their twisted limbs clawing at the sky. Fog clung to the ground like a living thing, and the air was thick with silence, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that listens. As Arin stepped beneath the canopy, the forest seemed to close around him. Whispers drifted through the mist, faint, fragmented voices that spoke no language he knew. He clutched his satchel tighter, heart pounding, each step echoing like a drumbeat in a tomb. Hours passed, or perhaps days. Time bent strangely in the forest. Shadows moved where light should not reach. Arin stumbled over roots and memories, his mind fraying at the edges. Then, without warning, a figure dropped from the trees. A dagger glinted in the dim light, held by a woman with wild eyes and a smirk that didn't quite reach her lips. Her cloak was patched, her boots worn, and her fingers quick as lightning. She was Lyra, a thief by trade, survivalist by necessity. "Scrolls?" she scoffed, rifling through his satchel. "You're walking through Death's garden with paper and ink?" Before Arin could answer, the forest screamed. From the fog emerged shadow beasts, creatures of smoke and bone, eyeless and hungry. They moved like nightmares, silent and swift. Lyra pursed, tossing the satchel back at Arin. "Run!" But Arin froze, paralyzed by fear and awe. The beasts lunged, and Lyra moved. She fought not with brute strength, but with agility and instinct, her daggers slicing through mist and menace. She grabbed Arin's arm and dragged him behind a fallen tree, breathless and bleeding. When the silence returned, it was heavier than before. Arin looked at her, eyes wide. "You saved me." Lyra shrugged. "Didn't plan to, but you're not dead, so that's something." They sat in the dirt, surrounded by fog and fading echoes. Arin, the scholar, and Lyra, the thief. Two strangers bound by survival. "I need to find the phoenix feather," Arin said quietly. Lyra raised an eyebrow. "And you think scrolls will help you do that?" He nodded. "I know where to look, but I don't know how to survive." She studied him for a long moment, then sighed. "Fine, I'll keep you alive. You get us to the feather." And so reluctantly, they joined forces. Arin for knowledge, Lyra for survival. The forest watched them go, whispering secrets they had yet to understand. The forest thinned as Arin and Lyra emerged into a clearing bathed in golden mist. Before them stood the ruins of Ashenfall, ancient, majestic, and half swallowed by time. Cracked pillars reached skyward like skeletal fingers, and broken archways framed the horizon. Vines curled around stone carvings of phoenixes mid-flight, their wings etched with forgotten runes that shimmered faintly in the fading light. Ashenfall had once been a sanctuary for phoenixes, a place of rebirth and flame. Now it was silent, but not dead. As they stepped inside, the air shifted, the temperature dropped. A low hum pulsed through the stone, as if the ruins themselves were alive and waiting. Arin's eyes lit up with awe. "These symbols, they're older than the kingdom. They speak of trials." Lyra rolled her eyes. "Of course they do." The first chamber was circular, with a mosaic floor depicting a phoenix rising from ashes. At its center stood a pedestal with a glowing orb. Surrounding it were runes carved into the walls, each pulsing in rhythm with the orb's light. Arin knelt, tracing the symbols with ink-stained fingers. "It's a puzzle. The runes must be activated in sequence. Fire, ash, rebirth." Lyra paced, scanning the room. "And what happens if you get it wrong?" Arin hesitated. "We burn." Lyra sighed. "Lovely." With careful precision, Arin activated the runes. The orb flared, and the mosaic floor shifted, revealing a hidden staircase spiraling downward. The deeper they went, the more dangerous the trials became. In one chamber, blades swung from the ceiling, triggered by pressure plates. Lyra moved like wind, leaping, ducking, rolling, her instincts honed by years of surviving traps and thieves' guilds. Arin followed her path, mimicking her steps with clumsy determination. In another, mirrors reflected illusions, false cads, phantom enemies, even memories. Arin nearly walked into a wall of flame, chasing the image of his father. Lyra pulled him back at just in time. Their bond grew in the silence between dangers. One night, as they rested beneath a shattered dome open to the stars, Lyra spoke softly. "My sister's dying," she said. "Fever, no healer can cure it. The phoenix feather, it's her only chance." Arin looked at her surprised. "You never said." "I don't say much," she replied. "But I didn't come here for gold or glory. I came for her." Arin nodded, the weight of the quest deepening. "Then we'll find it, for her. For everyone." The ruins watched them, ancient and wise, as two unlikely souls pressed forward, one guided by knowledge, the other by love, toward the heart of Ashenfall, where the last phoenix waited. Within the heart of the ruins of Ashenfall, Arin and Lyra descended into a chamber unlike any they had seen. The air shimmered with heat and memory. The walls, once stone, now pulsed with veins of glowing ember. Ancient carvings of phoenixes danced in flickering light, their wings etched in gold and fire. At the center stood a raised platform, encircled by a ring of scorched feathers and ash. Upon it perched the last phoenix, a creature of breathtaking majesty and sorrow. Its plumage glowed with fading brilliance, reds like dying embers, golds like the last light of sunset. Its eyes, deep and ancient, held the weight of centuries. The phoenix's voice echoed not in sound, but in thought, a resonance that filled the chamber and their minds. "You have come far," it said, "but I am old. My flame wanes. I offer only one feather. It can heal one life, no more." The feather shimmered in the air, suspended between them, radiant, fragile, and impossibly powerful. Arin stepped forward, heart pounding. He saw the kingdom in his mind. The cracked earth, the starving children, the rivers turned to dust. He had come for them, for all of them. But beside him, Lyra's breath caught. Her eyes glistened. "My sister," she whispered. "She's just a child. She didn't choose this. She didn't deserve it." Silence fell, thick and suffocating. Arin looked at her. The thief who had saved him, fought beside him, bled for him. The woman who had revealed her heart between layers of armor and sarcasm. And now she stood on the edge of loss. Conflict erupted, not in violence, but in emotion. Arin's duty screamed for the kingdom. His loyalty pulled toward Lyra. The crown demanded sacrifice. His heart begged for mercy. "If I choose the kingdom," he said slowly, "your sister dies." "If you choose her," Lyra replied, "thousands suffer." The phoenix watched, silent and still, its flame flickering lower. Arin closed his eyes. He thought of scrolls and ink, of kings and crowns. But he also thought of a girl he had never met, innocent, dying, loved. He opened his eyes and reached out. "Take it," he said to Lyra. "Save her." Lyra stared at him stunned. "But the kingdom will endure," Arin said, "because compassion is its true flame." She took the feather, hands trembling. The phoenix bowed its head, and with a final burst of light, it vanished, leaving behind warmth, silence, and a single act of grace. The chamber pulsed with silence. Lyra held the glowing feather in her hands, its warmth seeping into her skin like sunlight after a storm. Arin stood beside her, his face illuminated by the phoenix's fading flame. He had made his choice, not for glory, not for legacy, but for love he had never known, and a life he had never met. The phoenix, ancient and weary, lifted its head. Its eyes shimmered with something beyond time, sorrow, gratitude, and awe. "You have chosen not the crown," it whispered, "but compassion." With a final cry, a sound like fire singing, the phoenix spread its wings wide. Flames erupted around it, not in destruction, but in brilliance. The chamber filled with light, golden and pure, as embers scattered like stars. The embers danced through the air, drifting upward and outward, through stone, through sky, across the land. Far away, in a quiet village, Lyra's sister stirred in her sleep. Her fever broke, her breath steadied, the embers settled on her brow and vanished. Across Arendor, rivers began to flow again. Crops pushed through cracked soil. The sky softened, and the people looked up, sensing something had changed, something sacred. Back in the ruins, the phoenix stood tall one last time. Then, with a burst of flame, it vanished, leaving behind only ash, warmth, and silence. Arin and Lyra did not speak. They didn't need to. They had come seeking a miracle. What they found was something greater. The truth that power lies not in magic, but in mercy. As they stepped out of Ashenfall, the sun rose over a healing world. "Sometimes," Arin whispered, "the greatest power is not in the feather itself, but in the choice of who deserves it."